What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Big Ten football channel. Last night, we did a live stream on the Big Ten saying that the Big Ten is going to be returning. Didn't get an official announcement last night. Thought it was going to come down, but there were rumors everywhere. And now, this morning, we finally found out for sure the Big Ten is going to be back, and they're coming back in the month of October. A little bit different than what we thought. Thought it was going to be a 9-game season starting on October 17th. Now it looks like it's going to be October 24th, and they're only going to play 8 games. And so it's obviously going to be an abbreviated season, but they will be done at the same time as their Big Ten championship will be the same time as the SEC championship, and they will be eligible to compete for the college football playoff. Do they deserve to get in? That's a question that a lot of people are asking. I think if a team goes 9-0, they go 8-0 in a regular season, they win a conference championship, you've got enough on that resume. 9 games, going undefeated. I think that's enough to get you into the college football playoff. But I don't see any way the Big Ten could possibly get 2 teams into the playoff playing only an 8-game schedule. It would take a lot of chaos for that to happen. And I don't know that a 1-loss Big Ten champ would get in. It's not quite the same as teams playing like in the SEC. 10 conference games. A 1-loss SEC team versus a 1-loss Big Ten team. I think the SEC team gets in. But again, if a team goes undefeated in the Big Ten, they are in the college football playoff. If they lose a game, win the conference, we have to wait and see. There are just so many factors. We don't know. The Big 12, are they going to have a 2-loss conference champion? Are they going to have a 3-loss conference champion? I mean, this season's already been crazy. Maybe they have a 1-loss or an undefeated team. So, again, I think if a team goes undefeated, obviously Ohio State would be the team that most people would expect to do that. Yes, the Big Ten is going to make it in the college football playoff. But it's really interesting when you see what the Big Ten has put out right now. They have not really talked about the schedule or anything. They just said that they're going to resume either October 23rd or 24th. I guess that means they're going to have some Friday night games. But they just talked about the protocols, the medical protocols that they're going to be doing. If you get the virus, you're not going to be able to play for at least 21 days. So that is a huge amount of time that a player could be out. And it could definitely change the landscape of the Big Ten. What if Justin Fields gets it? Maybe he's already had it. I don't know. And he has to sit for 3 games potentially, maybe even 4. I mean, that's half the season. So this virus could definitely play a big factor in how the season plays out for the Big Ten, because they don't have a lot of room for error. I mean, you've got 1 bye week for each team. Other than that, you can't really move games around. And I think they probably wish that they had done what the other conferences had done and would have just given them much more time to move the games around and everything. They're going to be doing daily testing, so you can't go practice, you can't go play until your test comes back negative. So I think that right there is going to really help stop any kind of spread, and hopefully it's not a problem. And the virus also seems to continue to trend down. I don't know, now that it's getting cooler, we'll see what happens with that. But if the positivity rate gets over about 5%, and you can go look this up on the Big Ten website, if it gets over about 5%, then teams are going to have some problems. They're going to have to stop practicing, stop playing. So that's going to be interesting, again, to see what happens with that. We don't know how many of these players have already had the virus. We heard LSU said most of their teams already had it. Texas Tech, I think, said 75 players have had it. I don't know if that's the case in the Big Ten, but if the majority of the players have already had the virus, you're obviously not going to have a whole lot of spread because everyone's already had it. And I guess there's a possibility you can catch it more than once, but we're not going to go down that road. Too much unknown there. But I think it could definitely cause some problems for the Big Ten because they've got to squeeze all these games in such a short amount of time. You look at other conferences like the Big 12 and the ACC, they got a much earlier start. They allowed for 2 bye weeks, and they've been able to change their schedule around. We've had games postponed, but they're going to be able to make a lot of those up. and I think it's going to be a much more complete season for those teams. But I don't know about the Big Ten. I mean, we could have a team miss 3 or 4 games. What do you do? What do you do about that? I mean, there's some issues, I think, trying to squeeze all of these games in such a short amount of time, and it's going to be interesting. I think we already knew this was going to be a crazy season, but I think it's really good that the Big Ten is going to go ahead and play, because now you don't have to worry about a spring season and the draft and a ton of players opting out. A couple of Ohio State players have already opted out. Will they come back? Will they opt back in? Again, I think it's a mess. I think the Big Ten should have went along the same track as the other Power 5 conferences, not the Pac-12, which Pac-12 is different because they have actual state laws in California and Oregon that are preventing them from playing. So yeah, it's definitely going to be different. We'll see what happens with all of these teams in the Big Ten. Can they stay healthy? That's going to be the biggest challenge is fighting this virus, because 21 days, again, possibly 3 or 4 games if you get it, that is a big blow for some of these better players. But now, again, we don't have to worry about opt-outs in the spring. Now, players can still opt out, but I think we would have saw tons and tons of opt-outs if they waited until the spring. Anybody that was going to get drafted probably would have opted out. Now a lot of those players will play. They'll have a chance to compete for a national championship. So I'm glad that they're back. Wish they had started with everyone else. I think the Big Ten, when they decided to postpone, I think they thought that the other Power 5 conferences would follow them and it wouldn't be an issue. I don't think they realized that the Big 10, Big 12, ACC, and SEC, they would still play. And I think they probably regretted it pretty quickly. But now they have a chance to still play and compete for a national championship. And Ohio State, again, my preseason pick before all this started, I was going to pick them to win the national championship. Now maybe I'm going to have to do some updated predictions, because I did a video without the Big Ten, and I picked Alabama to win it all. Now that the Big Ten is back in play, does that change my playoff predictions? Well, maybe we'll make a video on that here soon. But I would love to know what all of you think about the Big Ten coming back. Do they deserve a shot at the college football playoff, only playing 8 games? I think, again, if they go undefeated, they do. One-loss team, it's a question mark. But I'm just glad that they're back, glad that we're going to see Big Ten football, and it'll feel more like a normal college football season with them in there, and also with the SEC starting in less than 2 weeks. So let me know what you guys think about it. Big Ten going to be returning at the end of October.